Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios. This is episode number 82 of the Knightline podcast. Joining me as always,
Trace Trylko. Hello, everyone.
What a game that we had on Saturday.
How about them Knights?
UCF 47, ECU 29.
Back-to-back road wins
Yeah.
and a great start to American play.
Absolutely. Justin Holman starts. That
Who?
was a little weird.
Justin Holman.
Yeah.
How about our reaction when he trotted out into the field?
We were just, we thought it was going to be bad. It kind of was bad in a way, but it was good in another way. No Mackenzie Milton. We were really looking forward to seeing him do his stuff out there, but Justin Holman got it together just in time. Just in time Holman. Hashtag just in time. That's a new one we got there. People are loving my new hashtags that I'm coming up with. By the way, Jawan the Hammer Hamilton had a good game. That's one of mine.
He also likes that.
Yeah,
that you're
a lot of
using
people like that. And I've got hashtag the Hammer, hashtag he got griffined when any one of the Griffin boys do a good job, and now we're going to have just in time Holman.
If he plays again.
Yeah, hashtag just in time.
I think his play, what was it, 11 of 29 for 156 yards and 2 interceptions, may prevent a quarterback controversy from developing.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a quarterback controversy. The only controversy is going to be if Mackenzie Milton is not out there on Friday night. That will be, very odd, and I don't think that would be crazy, to be honest with you, if that doesn't happen. If Mackenzie is better, I guess his ankle must have been not up to par, and they didn't want to put him out there hobbling as far as I'm concerned. If his ankle was bad, whatever. But I expect fully him to be back on Friday night.
Perhaps it was precautionary on the part of head coach Scott Frost, who was very tight-lipped. Joining us in just a few moments will be former UCF quarterback Kyle Israel. He's going to talk a little bit more about Justin's play. May surprise Knights fans. He's a little more complimentary than perhaps collective Knight Nation felt watching Justin on Saturday. But nonetheless, Justin quarterbacked first time since he went injured in the Michigan game. And there were a lot of other stars in this game, defensive and special teams, that, made sure the Knights would prevail.
Speaking of special teams, A.K. Adrien Killins.
The Flash.
Wow, man. How unbelievable that 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. That was absolutely awesome. In fact, the only way to really get this fully out there, there's this guy on YouTube named TJ LSU Dad. And I'm going to let him describe what happened. He's going to describe it twice, actually, in a video that he put up. But I'm going to play the audio of that video for you right now.
Get ready to laugh, folks, if you haven't heard it yet.
This is the most awesome thing that I've ever heard. Here we go.
Somebody just sent me this.
Not too fastest Knights.
I told y'all a week ago, 2 weeks ago, from UCF, that Killins is the fastest man in college or the NFL. He go! You're not gonna catch him. That boy run like he trying to get to Jesus. That boy run like Jesus in the end zone. You're not gonna catch him. He gone. Fastest boy. I'll watch it again. Because he ran so fast, I barely even saw it the first time. My goodness. Cheese and bread. This boy is fast. Look at this boy run. His mama must be fast. His grandma must run a 4.2 and a 40 for this child to come out that fast. My Lord.
That is one of the funniest things that I've ever heard in my life, and that is absolutely awesome. And it is a great way to. It's very expressive and it's perfect.
Natural, genuine reaction.
It is a perfect way to describe what Adrien Killins does when he touches the football.
He's electric.
Absolutely awesome.
Fourth player in UCF history to have a 100-yard kick return. Last time it happened, I remember watching this. Todd Cleveland, who was the speediest guy I thought I'd ever seen until Adrien Killins. He ran back 100 yards against Bethune-Cookman, 1994.
So get this, though. There's people that are talking about Adrien Killins maybe being the fastest person in college football. I think that that's very interesting. This guy seems to think the fastest in the pros as well. I would love to see, a 100-yard dash or a 40 or whatever. I can't wait to see what his actual 40 time is. I guess you could time it. From if you watch that replay back or whatever, somebody needs to do that for us. Somebody needs to time his 40 time from that kickoff return and let us know what that is. You can do that on Twitter for us or on our UCFNightlinePodcast.com and let us know about that. That would be awesome.
Sounds like a great job for frequent listener Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin or anybody else could do it. Yeah,
there's a lot of shout out to Kevin,
who
joined us, by the way, on Knightline Postgame Live. That was such a blast to be with you in studio. I had been at Michigan and FIU and dialed in briefly while you held down the fort. A lot goes on, folks, during those live postgame shows, and it was great to have just such a cross-section of callers. We had people from all over the country and all over the state of Florida.
If you have not joined in and listened or participated in Postgame Live yet, Knightline Postgame Live, please do. The next one will be after the next away game, which
UConn.
is
So we're
UConn.
several weeks away.
Several
October
weeks
22.
Away. We're only doing it for the away games this year. We're going to try maybe next year to try to do all games. We'll have to see how that works out. We've got a couple hurdles to overcome to do that, but it's a blast. It is my absolute favorite thing to do as far as these goes. Not that I don't love talking to y'all doing this, but talking to y'all on the phone live is awesome. When we do that on www.rabble.tv, and they are awesome there. We have a brand new phone line from Vonage, and it has a call queue and lets a bunch of people get on the line, and we take them in order, and it is absolutely awesome. It's the greatest show. I love it. It's awesome. I love it.
It was a lot of fun. Also a lot of fun, UCF winning the turnover battle against East Carolina with 5 turnovers. And how about the play of the defense? T.J. Mutcherson, Mark Rucker, that safety was so critical early on in the game.
Brendan Hayes with a freshman that a redshirt freshman that not a lot of us had heard about ever. I'd never heard his name, to be honest with you. Defensive lineman comes up with a pick 6 for a touchdown. Put his hands up, and there was the ball. It was beautiful. That really got things going. And we're going to hear from him a little bit later. We have a clip. Yeah, I mean, overall, this was the most complete game by far. A lot of people will say that the complete game was at FIU, but I think this was the complete game because it was scoring on all 3 phases. Special teams, defense, and offense. A safety, I mean, honestly, I'd like to see when this happened the last time. When in a UCF game, was there a safety, a kickoff returned, and a pick 6?
Well, let's see. I remember reading somewhere that the last time UCF did a couple of those things in the same game was at Tulane in 2010.
Really?
I will effort that.
We'll effort that to somebody as well. We need an intern. We still need an intern. We're talking about this. Need an intern.
Need an intern.
That intern could be looking these things up for us.
Think about this. They put up 47 points without the greatest game in the world from quarterback Justin Holman. So if we'd been firing a little more at quarterback.
And a lot of people have asked the question, what would have happened if Mackenzie Milton was out there and being able to run around and throw the ball the way that he does and run around the way that he does?
It would have been a different game, right?
It would have
just been a completely different game.
Yeah, so...
How about these scoring drives for the Knights? 56 seconds, 23 seconds, 53 seconds, 15 seconds, 74 seconds, and 20 seconds. That information courtesy of UCF Sports Information out with their game recap. How about those?
That's absolutely the way that it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's supposed to happen in this offense. It's just there's no other way to say it.
And again,
that's exactly the way that it's supposed to happen.
Many of the same players that were on last year's squad, of course, mixing in some of these promising freshmen that have really made a name for themselves after the first 5 games. Again, this is a team that is now 3-2, 1-0 in the American, back-to-back road wins, and now they come home for 2 consecutive games. And the early line on the Tulane game, Friday night, blackout at Bright House, 11.5, 10.5, depending on what you see. They're starting to have some confidence in these UCF Knights.
This is a completely different team and a completely different thing than we've ever seen here before.
Hey, I found this for you.
Fast thing.
Last time UCF had an offensive, defensive, and special teams touchdown in the same game, November 20, 2010, at Tulane.
You're hired.
As the intern?
You're hired as the intern. That's
You're
beautiful.
Intern.
Beautiful job. All right. Let's hear from Scott Frost here real quick, and then we'll come back and play a couple other clips from some players.
Just a great team win. We can play a lot better than that. We played sloppy. I think they played sloppy too and gave us some gifts, but when a team can battle like that, like we did, and make plays on offense, defense, and special teams, it was just a wonderful team win for our program.
If that is sloppy, I cannot wait to see when it's not sloppy and see what happens. If we can do that in a game that's not sloppy, it's going to be absolutely freaking amazing. That's the only way I can say it.
3 different wins, kind of 3 different ways, right? So we've seen some different sides of UCF, and that's promising, too, as we get into the heart of the American schedule with tough games. But, again, back-to-back home games, you like to clean up at home.
Absolutely. We talked about Adrien Killins, a.k.a. Adrien Killins, on that kickoff touchdown. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
They put me on special teams about 2 weeks ago, and the coaches just wanted me to execute on kick return, all phases of the football game. We've been executing well on offense, and they want me to do the same on special teams. So I took that role, and it's a big role because every phase of the game counts, and I got my opportunity to get the ball, and I just followed my blockers and believed in the front line that they'll do their job, and I just finished the rest and got us a touchdown this game. When I was running, I heard the crowd. They wasn't so happy. The crowd was pretty dead when I scored that touchdown, so it was a silent killer. It sealed the deal for us to get some points on the board first, and it was a great feeling. I'm supposed to watch my off-back guy. He lets me know if I can take it out or keep it in. I was real hesitant. I almost took a knee. Thank God I didn't take a knee because that would have been horrific. But I was hesitant taking it out, but I'm glad I did take it out.
All right, I got a new nickname and a new hashtag right here.
Yeah.
The Silent Killer, a.k.a. Killins.
The Silent
The
Killer?
Silent Killer.
Okay.
All
Did
right.
you write that down? You're not forgetting these.
I won't forget it, but he said that in there, and I thought I liked that. It was the Silent Killer. So that's what we will call Adrien Killins from now on. I don't know, maybe not.
He's the Flash to me, and when he said, the fans weren't too happy there in East Carolina, our fans sure are.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wonderful deal he is to have. What a wonderful player. He's a good guy. We had him on here after National Signing Day, and we were both impressed. Remember with how articulate he was, and he's.
We may need to revisit that interview.
Yeah, we may
during
have
bye
to,
week or something.
Yeah, may have to play that one back for you. All right, let's hear now from Brendan Hayes about that pick six that he had, because he got to talk, and that's pretty cool for a redshirt freshman that we really had been off the radar to actually get to talk and to tell us about that.
I think it was a big play. I was just glad I could make it, glad I could affect the game in a positive way for my team and do everything I needed to do to win. I was just doing everything my coaches told me. Keep believing in myself, keep believing in my teammates, keep going. Hands up when the quarterback's throwing arm comes off the ball. Made a play. It happened so fast. It happened real fast. It was just a sign of relief. I was still worried about the outcome of the game because I know they were coming back on us, but I just believed in my teammates, kept going, kept playing hard.
All right, one thing that this guy says that I really like, it's all about what his coaches told him to do. He's just doing what the coaches told him to do. It's not, yeah, look at me, look what I just did. I just did what my coaches told me to do. And talked about the teammates. This is one of the things that I absolutely love about this team and head coach Scott Frost being here. He has really made everybody team players, and there's not a lot of me guys. There's a couple, but you don't see them much. There's a couple. If you follow the message boards and Twitter and all that, you'll know who those people are. But this guy, as a redshirt freshman and everything else, he is the quality type of player that we have and need, and hopefully he gets a little bit more playing time because of this and handling it so perfectly.
Well, perhaps he'll have a little extra motivation. He is a Louisiana native, and he was recruited by Tulane. And incidentally, in his bio in the UCF Media Guide, he also played power forward on his basketball team.
Oh,
listed
wow.
at 6'3", 260.
Yeah, he's a big power forward. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Quite a big power forward. All right, one more clip to play for you, and that is Justin Holman talking about the start and the game at ECU.
I had an indication of it throughout the week that it might be a chance of that, but Coach Frost just told me to stay prepared, and when the game came, I was ready to go. Started feeling healthy a little bit before the FIU game, but I see why Coach took it easy, and then coming into this game, I see why he'll still want to take it easy. It's a long season, a lot of conference play left. Been out for 2 weeks, so it's good to get back out there with my guys, but not pressing. Definitely got to relax a little bit more when I see things and calm my feet down. That's the biggest thing, calming my feet down in the pocket. But it felt good, man. Come back here and redeem myself. It's kind of coming full circle for me, but it felt good to be back here.
Now, I don't know if Justin has redeemed himself completely because, like we said, he had some yards and 2 interceptions and all that. I like I said before, I want to see Mackenzie Milton out there. I honestly don't want to see Justin Holman unless he is absolutely needed. I think he would be a great backup to Mackenzie Milton.
He's a square peg in a round hole in this offense, but in fairness to him, there were some drops in this game, and Traquan Smith did not have his best game. I don't think it changes the fact that Justin didn't have his best game either.
Yeah, Traquan had a horrible game. It was probably one of the worst games that he's ever had here, to be honest with you. He was dropping everything. So
yeah, coming up, we talk about the controversial targeting call against Mark Rucker. We get into that a little bit more with Kyle Israel, so you're going to want to hear what Kyle thinks about that. We're also going to be joined by a Tulane insider. I think folks are going to be interested to know that Tulane shares some similarities with UCF, what they're strong at, and the whole attitude brought in by a new head coach. So those are two things that I think fans will find interesting coming up in just a few moments. I saw something this week that struck me as interesting was a change in schedule. Not so much that the Texas game slated for the 2017 season has been moved to 2023, which just seems forever into the future, but that Maine has been scheduled, which seemingly gives UCF 7 home games. And it's been quite a while since UCF has had those. They have the 4 conference games, of course, and then 3 non-conference games as FIU, Georgia Tech, and Maine, and then the road game at Maryland, which now becomes the highlight for many UCF fans to pick up a non-conference road game.
Well, that's a heck of a non-con schedule, and I'm happy with that. I'm pleased with that. I would have liked to see Texas because Texas is pretty good so far this year, and of course we like to play teams like that, and maybe we could get a little revenge from a couple other contests we've had with them. But I'm very happy with 7 home games. That, as a fan, that makes me extremely happy because, I go out there for every home game, and I don't mind paying the extra ticket, for an extra home game. That sounds great to me.
So that is the interesting part with that schedule change. Just a small release from UCF on that, but something that Knights fans can look forward to.
Another thing that Knight fans can look forward to is East Coast Paddle out of New Smyrna Beach is giving away a boat-assisted paddleboard eco tour on the Knightline podcast and post-game show. We're talking about all this stuff on there. It's a eco tour for 2 on the paddleboards, $110 value as part of its support for the Knightline. And we have a little spot here I want you to hear. This is Tim, and he's going to talk about what's going on.
Hello, Knight Nation. This is Tim Baker with East Coast Paddle, owner, operator, and fellow UCF alum. East Coast Paddle is located in Orlando's favorite beach town of New Smyrna Beach. East Coast Paddle is rated by TripAdvisor as the #1 rated water tour activity in New Smyrna. We are most known for our boat-assisted paddleboard eco tours. This is a 2-hour dock-to-dock experience like none other on the island. You'll paddle with manatees, dolphins, and have a chance to see many of the 4,000 species that inhabit our lagoon system. So take professional pictures throughout the tour that are sent directly to your email at no additional charge. This is not all we have to offer. Traditional paddleboard rentals delivered to your location, paddle fit classes, and several fishing options. Please reach out to us at 386-402-8585 or visit us at our website, eastcoastpaddle.com, or follow us on Facebook at East Coast Paddle or Instagram at ECPSUP.
All right, so the way that you're going to win that boat-assisted paddleboard eco tour for 2 is to go to UCFKnightlinePodcast.com, and on the left-hand side over there, you're going to see contest entry form. You need to click on that, put the information in there, and send it. And at some point, I'm not sure when we're going to pick the winner for that. I'm going to wait till we get as many people entered in that as we possibly can, I believe.
We had a good number of people enter during the Knightline post-game live show.
Yeah, we've got about 20 people right now entered into that, at least. So we need way, way more people. And this is cool, too. There's a video that's going to play on the I don't know if I have it on the website yet, but I know it's on our Facebook page. You can see the video of some of this going on, and I think that I'm going to put the video in our YouTube video of this podcast. So if you're listening and watching on YouTube, it will pop up during that spot that Tim just did there for us. So
we thank Tim for stepping up to help out.
Absolutely. Very, very cool of Tim to do that. And I wish I could sign up for this thing.
You're not eligible?
We're not eligible, unfortunately.
Have you ever done that?
No, but we're going to. Me and you are going to go out there and do it.
When are we doing
And
this?
we're going to take somebody with a camera with us.
You're the camera guy. You're the one with the photography.
Well, yeah, but somebody else is going to have to, because I'm going to be on a paddleboard, and I could take a GoPro out there maybe.
Ooh,
that would be cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah. I know that Tim has a friend with a drone. Maybe we could get the drone flying over us while we're doing this and falling off. I'm sure I'm going to fall and look like a fool.
Yeah, look at the video of that. It does seem like it requires a little bit of balance and dexterity.
I can't wait to do it, though. Tim, thank you so much for doing that for us, and I'm excited for whoever's going to win this. So make sure you go to UCFKnightlinePodcast.com and put in your information to try to get your name in the hat.
Very good. Just ahead, Kyle Israel stops by to talk about the ECU game. We've got the the Tulane insider. That's who that's going to be. And, Andrew, my favorite question to you. What's going on this week with Big 12 expansion?
Yeah.
Not your favorite question.
No, I don't think there's anything more going on this week than there was last week. I haven't heard anything.
There's stuff.
Is there?
Stay with us.
Welcome to Inside the Huddle with former UCF quarterback Kyle Israel, brought to you by the Little Greek Fresh Grill. Fresh, flavorful, fabulous. Waterford Lakes, 855 North Althea Trail, Orlando.
Let's look at the latest game now through the eyes of former UCF quarterback Kyle Israel, who's stopping by Knightline to talk about the ECU game. Big win for the Knights on the road in American play, huh, Kyle?
Huge win. Great way to start off conference play. I don't know if the fan base, what their thoughts on are in regards to East Carolina, but East Carolina is a team that I thoroughly do not like at all. And so for us to get a win up in Greenville, which is a very difficult atmosphere to play in, and you could tell on television, that it was an atmosphere that was a great college football atmosphere. It's a great way to go in and get a win.
My biggest question for you, of course, I think a lot of people have the question of, it was kind of interesting that Justin Holman started the game. What What do you think about that, and what do you think about the job that he did?
Coach Frost did a really good job of keeping that kind of secret throughout the course of the week and even right before the game. And, even Mackenzie Milton was taking reps, some with the first team and warm-up. So, if it's truly an injury with Mackenzie, then it makes sense. You could ask a lot of questions. Was he comfortable with Mackenzie playing on a hobbled leg when so much of his game is made, and so many of his big plays are made with his feet? How much does that take away from his game based on how that ankle was? So to have a healthy Justin Holman and the true freshman and Mackenzie Milton that may not be 100% on the road in a tough environment, I could see him making the choice to go with Justin. And I thought Justin got off to a little bit of a slow start. He missed some throws, obviously, some on second and third down that were just low into the ground. I noticed that he was throwing a lot of low balls yesterday. I don't know exactly why that is. But you also got to consider that late in that game and in the second half, he also hit some big throws down the sideline, one to Jordan Franks, and a couple of other ones. And I thought Justin played better as the game went on, is how I would describe it. I think that his passing percentage early on, he was really struggling. I saw the statistic at one point where he may have been 5 or 6 of 16. But I think as the game went on and he got a little bit more comfortable and East Carolina got tired, he made some big throws when he had to. So give him the credit, because that's a tough place. I played there twice. It's a tough place to go in and get a win. And he did a phenomenal job in that type of environment to go in there and do just that. So I was pleased with how he progressed during the game.
So for the Knights, 3 wins in 5 games, and for this game, a completely different way they went about achieving the victory than what we saw a week earlier against FIU.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a team win. Obviously, Adrien Killins in the special teams game with his electric return, and it's just like watching a game on Saturdays now with Adrien Killins as one of our players is truly like Christmas morning, knowing that you're going to get a present. You don't know exactly what it is, how big it is, how it's going to come, etc. But you're going to get something out of the kid, at least after these first 4 games. So, to have a special teams play like that defensively with Rucker getting that safety and that momentum and creating turnovers, I think we truly did play such a team game. And I don't want to sound like, Coach Frost and what his comments were, but when you can truly highlight a, great play on all sides of the ball on each and every team, I mean, that's something that you want to do. And I think that was the case yesterday. And then obviously offensively, we had some big runs by our running backs and some great cuts. And these are not, drives where we're seeing us go slow and methodically all the way down the field and then kind of knocking it in from 3 or 4 yards out. We're breaking big plays and making big throws. And so it was a full team effort, and even with some of our struggles and sloppiness, that's kind of exciting because there's still room to improve.
Well, you've been part of some teams with a very big rushing attack with Kevin Smith back there when you were playing for UCF. Mm-hmm. What do you think of this rushing attack? It is absolutely amazing as far as I'm concerned. It's 100% different than last year. I mean, 180 degree turn from what we were doing last year. What's the cause of this? And, what do you think, and how far could this go with this rushing attack? It's amazing.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Especially in college football these days, you don't see teams all the time that are able to dominate games with a running game. And to be able to do that is such an advantage because it just wears teams out, and especially in our conference where teams don't have the depth that some of these Power 5 schools have with our tempo and the ability to run the football both vertically and horizontally. There's always a threat, especially when we fake that jet sweep to Adrien or some of the other guys coming across, or even a Jawan Hamilton. We have so many ways we can attack the running game. It's not like, when you think of Kevin Smith, and when I think of Kevin Smith, Kevin had the best vision I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of players in a lot of places, and I'm talking guys he's up there with guys that I just watch on TV in the NFL. He just could see holes before they developed. And we had a phenomenal, strong offensive line. Some of the offensive linemen in 2007 are still, Josh Sittons of the world, Pro Bowl guys that are in the NFL that were really phenomenal. And so we ran more of a power game, counter game, and a lot of the things that I was doing at the line of scrimmage that, the naked eye couldn't see, we were checking almost every play at the line of scrimmage to really make it most advantageous for us in regards to what defense we were going to run at and how we were going to penetrate their weakness. And that's the way that we ran the ball then, more downhill and then let Kevin do his thing when he gets to the second level. Whereas in the running game now, it just comes at you in all different formations so fast and in so many different directions. And to have 3 or 4 guys that can carry the football and make plays, that is very, very dangerous. And so I think as the passing game comes along, which usually takes a little longer to develop, and especially when we're trying to still kind of find figure out who our starting quarterback is, it's a great asset to have, and you can really control games with it.
Yeah. Well, I love how the coaches are using these running backs. I've actually given Juwan Hamilton the nickname the Hammer, because what he does is he goes in and hammers the ball. Then Dontravius Wilson comes in and does a lot of the short yardage stuff, to be honest with you, and he punches it in a lot. He's got the most touchdowns, obviously. And then you never know when Killins is going to come out and squirt around the edge, and just take it the entire way. So I really love the way that Coach Frost and everybody else are using these running backs. I think they're well aware of what we have, and I think they're using them properly. That's a great point, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to say this. You can tell that they have a plan with how they're going to use each guy, and you can tell even throughout the course of the game does dictate how they use that plan to some degree, but at the same time, it's almost like they have a plan as to when they want to get these guys into the games, and especially with situational downs, which back to put out there. But it's hard for a defense because, Adrien Killins, he'll be in the backfield or he'll get the ball on a handoff from the slot. Juwan Hamilton will catch the ball out of the backfield or he'll catch a bubble screen. So he'll be in the backfield one minute, and then the next play, which is about 17 seconds later, be out in the slot catching a pass. And then obviously Dontravius Wilson, he's a guy that, we do like him in short yardage situations, but as he showed on Saturday, can make one lateral cut, get north and south and go, and nobody's going to catch him. So all of those guys have their specialty, but all of them are pretty good in other aspects of the running game. I think Adrien Killins is obviously more of a back that fits one type of mold at the moment because he is still so young and hasn't put on the muscle that some of these other guys had. Juwan Hamilton is just a different type of back and how he is built than is Adrien Killins, but he kind of fits the mold for a particular part of the offense, and then Dontravius Wilson and Juwan Hamilton can kind of do everything. So I think it's phenomenal. I think as a quarterback, it's great to have that running game. I know what it feels like to have a great running game, which does so much in the play-action game. In 2007, we were statistically, and yes, people do keep statistics of this, they're just not mainstream, we were the best play-action passing team in the country. And so much of that was because of how we set it up with a run and how teams needed to play Kevin Smith with an extra safety down in the box, and that opened up the Rocky Rosses and Sergio Joaquims of the world and, Kamar Aiken. So it works both ways, and I think that we'll continue to see the passing game really feed off the running game. Yeah, I'm really impressed with Dontravius Wilson because the play that we had seen from him before wasn't even close to this. I don't know if that's him being a senior or getting the touches that he's getting now, but I'm impressed with him. I mean, he has some very good vision as well. Not a Kevin Smith vision, but then again, one of the things that I've mentioned about this, Kevin Smith is over there talking to those guys as well, not just doing the job that he's doing with UCF as I'm not even sure what his job is. I know it's something, to do with the players. I know it's not a running backs coach, but to have him over there on the sideline has to be a good thing for these guys, to
it's
talk
100%. That's a great point, and I don't think you can overlook that at all. Andrew, I think that is, Kevin is, whatever his title is, does not convey the amount of impact that he has on those guys. And I've been out to practices, and it's not just during the practice, but it's in the film room, it's in the meetings, it's one-on-one. It's, hey, this is what I did. Kevin looked rough around the edges when he came to UCF. But I'll never forget, we were at our first pass skeleton session in the summer going into our 2005 season, and the way that it worked was that me and Stephen Moffitt went out there and kind of directed the pass skeleton practice for about an hour, and we would have our first and second teams going one direction from the 50-yard line, and our third team and all of our freshmen that had just come in for Summer B going in the other direction. And obviously those plays were easier and more basic and just trying to get guys lined up correctly, et cetera. So we were running this practice, and we got into the huddle, and I got into the huddle, and we're about to start, and Kevin Smith's standing in the huddle. And he's coming in as a true freshman, been on campus for about 3 weeks. And I said, hey, man, we called him Buck back then when he was from Miami. I said, hey, Buck, you got to go to the other side, to the freshman huddle. He goes, I'm going to be the starting running back here this year, and I'm never, ever going to be in a huddle if it's not the first-team huddle again. And by God, he never was in a backup from that point on. And that is the mentality and the motivation and the self-confidence that he had. So he's kind of giving that to these guys, and I think he is a huge asset because he is kind of like a running backs coach, but he can relate a little bit more than a Ryan Held could, just because he played at this school. He was an All-American, and he really did it the right way. So, and he has some things along the way that have been bumps in the road for him that hopefully he can display to these guys in regards to how you can learn from those things. So I think Kevin's a huge asset. I think that he was huge in the recruiting aspect of getting a guy like Juwan Hamilton. I think that was one of Kevin's, kind of guys when he was on the staff when there was basically no coaches. And so he was able to go out and recruit. You can't overstate, how crucial Kevin is, but Ryan Held is doing a phenomenal job with those backs.
Yeah, so Kevin Smith is the quality control administrator. I'm sorry, Kevin, we lost that, but quality control administrator. I think he's the quality control administrator of running backs.
That didn't exactly roll off the tongue, did it?
Yeah.
Kyle, let me shift over to defense. Opportunistic defense, created 5 turnovers, held ECU to 33 net rushing yards on 32 carries, but gave up a gob of yards in the passing game. What are you seeing in the secondary, and is it a cause for concern the rest of the way in American play?
Well, I think the way that you have to look at it is when your defense just shuts down a team's rushing game, their option and only option is to throw the football. So, I think East Carolina did have quite a bit of attempts. And so some of that yardage, I think, can be because of the situation of the game, But they also, you got to give a little bit of credit to East Carolina. They have some phenomenal receivers. Number one, Andre Ferrier was a wide receiver with my younger cousin at Lake Nona. I watched him play for 4 years. He was the guy that caught the first touchdown. He was also the guy that had that spinning fumble into the end zone. He's a good young wide receiver, and they have some other older wide receivers that are very good. I mean, East Carolina's not a bad team. I think that we gave up some big plays. It looked like there were a little bit of miscommunication, misalignment. I think that's what Coach is talking about when he was referring to some of the sloppy play. Guys just a step or two away from making a play on a ball, but because of their alignment, they weren't able to do that. But, I think that is not a huge worry for me, but we are going to play teams that throw the football, and, we're going to have to be prepared for that. But I thought overall, you said that right there, the 5 takeaways, Trace, was absolutely crucial. The safety was absolutely crucial, and Rucker getting in there and making that play, I think that he was ejected on a bad call.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next. That's what I was going to ask you next, to explain that a little bit more from your perspective, because it's easy as a fan to get outraged at that call after you see it over and over again on the replay. What did you see there that may shed a little bit more light on why they stayed with that call?
Well, I'm a former quarterback. I think that was a horrible call. Even if it wasn't UCF playing, I think Rutgers' height certainly hurt him in that situation. If it was a guy that was running in there at 6'2", it looked like Rucker was trying to do what he could to get out of the way. And Shaquem Griffin or somebody came around the edge and hit the quarterback from the other side, and it really put their heads in a path to where there was some contact there. But, common sense can tell you when you're looking at something if that is a vicious hit or if that's an intentional hit to the head like that. I think that he was trying to get out of the way. But when you're going to try to protect players and when you're going to put a huge emphasis on helmet-to-helmet contact, these officials, rightfully so, are going to be sensitive, especially to the quarterback when he can't protect himself. So, I can't say that I'm shocked that they made that call, but what I am saying is that I'm not sure that in that type of situation with the intent of the hit that it made any real sense to eject somebody because of it. If you wanted, I'm not sure if you can still tack on or hold up the 15-yard penalty without an ejection for targeting. I don't know if both of them come together, and so if you do make the call, you have to eject the player. But it's kind of harsh for him to be ejected on something that I don't think he was intentionally trying to do. But he did duck his head a little bit, and it did seem like at the last second he knew that contact was going to be made, and he certainly didn't try to fully avoid that. So it's kind of up to the official, but I think they're going to try to take player safety and put that the highest priority, and that's kind of what they did there.
Yeah, and, I'm good with player safety, but then you look, you've heard the saying incidental contact used quite a bit before, and I think that this was exactly what that was incidental contact. He obviously wasn't trying to do that, so it just happened to be whatever, and we'll go on, and Rucker will miss the first part of next week's game, and whatever. One of the things that I'm a little bit interested in, I want to run this by you as a former quarterback, this is making the game a little bit different with these protecting everybody, and the game is, one of these days it's going to be flag football because you're not going to be able to tackle anybody, unfortunately. But Justin Holman got hit from the blind side just a little while after that. I don't know if it was a couple plays or the next series or whatever, but just hammered from the blind side. And, I guess they never call it as targeting, but that guy knew exactly what he was doing. It was just a brutal hit on him. You've been hit from the blind side before. You know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't that be considered something like that too? Especially blindside hits when you have no idea it's coming. That hurts.
It does hurt. I will tell you, to be completely candid, the blindside hits, and this may be a big misconception, the blindside hits actually don't hurt as bad as when you see the guy coming at you. Because, it's almost like that, kind of joking scenario, if a guy's drunk and he gets punched or he falls, his body doesn't tense up and try to brace the fall. Well, when you get hit from the blind side, you usually have no clue that guy's coming. And so your body's kind of naturally just takes on the hit and moves. And then when you see guys coming, that's when you kind of tense up, and those hurt, especially if you're going down on your back or your rear end without bracing yourself. So it could be, I think that the other way. However, I will say I think that it really comes down to two things if you're gonna start to really look at these type of plays and these type of hits and what is targeting and what's not. Targeting, certainly, I think if it's helmet to helmet, I think you have to make a call. But if a guy hits a guy in the back or on the shoulder, at the waist, or on the rear end, I don't think they're going to call that. How brutal it is, whatever the speed of play is, as long as it is close to their quarterback delivering the ball, not too late, I think they're always going to call that. Or I think they're always going to let that go, and I think they probably should. But when you think of it, in the NFL, below the waist or low hits, those are very dangerous situations. There's not many other players on the field that are ever standing in a prone position, standing straight up, kind of with their feet planted in the ground, not ready to brace for impact. There's not many guys on the field that are ever in that type of situation, maybe a kicker. And so I think that you really, really need to be careful and really watch out for low hits from defensive linemen coming through there I broke my tibia in practice on kind of a low hit. Kind of pretty accidental, but still, it was around the ankle, and that's where a lot of injuries can take place. So below the waist, down around the legs, really low is important to kind of control, and the hits to the head are important to control. But, the viciousness and those type of things, if you try to make that a part of the game where that's so hard to gauge and judge, and I really, truly think that's part of the essence of the game.
Right on. All right. Well, we won't take too much more of your time. Thank you for staying up late with us tonight to do this. What's been going on at the Little Greek this week?
Well, we had a great week. We've been doing a lot of catering. I even have some catering orders that have come in for Friday night or for this weekend for the UCF game and the tailgate. Now, I don't know how that hurricane is going to affect everything. I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out and how the school reacts to that and plans for that. With this being a Friday game and that hurricane, I haven't seen the radar today, so I don't know if it's tracking in a different direction. But we got some catering set up for Friday for tailgating. We do love to cater. It's simple. It's easy. It works great for tailgating type of situations. A lot of meat, chicken, rice, salads, and dolmades go great at a catering. And then we did a big catering order tonight for the team. The football team, as they left the facility for the evening, kind of their snack going back to their dorms or to their homes. We did a big catering for them tonight, and obviously we are extremely happy to be able to do that for them and be a part of the program a little bit. So we've been super busy, constantly looking for people who are interested in franchising or kind of getting in the business for themselves. We have a great team here in Central Florida to help that process, and you get to work with me every day. So we're doing good, and we're thankful for the support.
Absolutely awesome. All righty, well, we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight into all this stuff.
All right, guys, thank you. Thanks for having me. And I'll tell you what, that was one of the best wins for me in a long time because I truly, truly hate East Carolina more than anybody in our conference, outside of South Florida, of course.
Of course.
But East Carolina is one that I really do not like. And for us to go up there and get a win, I don't think many people in the preseason had that as a win if you're trying to predict that.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think that was a huge one. So thank you so much, man. We will talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Coast to coast.
And even north of the border in Canada.
Hello, Night Nation. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Tell your friends about Knightline Postgame Live. It's the only place to talk about UCF's latest road game as soon as the game ends.
We're taking your calls live, so save our number, 407-401-9184. That's 407-401-9184.
Join the conversation with Knights fans across the country. Download the Rabble.tv app today and listen in. Remember, when the clock expires, we go live.
Knightline Postgame Live, your place to talk about football with two of the biggest UCF fans around.
Go Knights!
Charge on. Five questions with an insider, getting to know this week's opponent.
This Friday, Tulane travels to Orlando to take on the Knights. UCF looks to avenge a disastrous 45-31 loss in New Orleans in 2015. Joining us now to preview the Green Wave, Paul Boron from Cox Sports Television. Paul covers Tulane, LSU, and the New Orleans Saints. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you guys again this year.
Tulane's start stands out. The Green Wave 3-2 following this past weekend's 31-24 win at UMass. They're surprising a few folks, aren't they?
They really are. I guess when you bring in a new coach, it kind of infuses, especially a coach with a winning pedigree, it infuses a winning attitude. I mean, a lot of these guys are the same guys that were with Curtis Johnson the last 2 years when they went back-to-back 3-9. They've already matched that win total. And in all reality, guys, they very easily could be 5-0. Their first game at Wake Forest, who Wake Forest is a decent little team in the ACC this year, they lost 7-3 opening night. If they had any offense at all, they could have won that game. And then the game at home against Navy was a 21-14 game, so they easily could be looking at 4-1 or even 5-0. So it's really been an impressive start to the season for the Green Wave.
Well, Paul, let's talk about the Green Wave's offense a little bit. The passing game is ranked 127th in the FBS. Saturday quarterback Glenn Coulee did just enough to lead the Green Wave. Tell us about his season so far and his go-to targets.
Well, the way the season unfolded, Willie Fritz is much like previous Georgia Southern teams, based on an option attack and a lot of running, triple option, motion, that kind of stuff, like you see out of Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech. And so that's how they've started the season, and that's kind of how we expected things to play out, with their defense kind of holding the fort and, hoping to have just enough offense. Their passing game kind of turned a corner last week at home against the University of Louisiana Lafayette. It was a game I was actually covering, and Tulane's offense had taken over the ball 3 times inside ULL's 15 and settled for 3 field goals because all they could do is run the ball. And then all of a sudden in the third quarter, they let Glenn Coulee start throwing the ball a little bit, and all of a sudden since then, they've kind of opened up the passing game. He had 4 touchdowns against ULL. He didn't have a great offensive attack last week against UMass, but he still had 168 yards and another 60 running. So they've started to mix in the pass game a little bit to try and get a little more balanced. And the guy you got to look for wide receiver-wise is Teron Onkalad, who has 252 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he's picked up his game in the last 2 weeks, and really that passing game is the reason they came back against UMass as well, and it's why they won that 4 overtime game against ULL the previous week.
Well, that's interesting about Tulane's running game, ranked 19th overall in FBS. A lot of guys are getting touches. Talk a little bit more about the overall running game, which for UCF fans is interesting because UCF's been pretty stout against the run.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, a lot of misdirection, a lot of option when they run the ball. I mean, it's a 3-headed backfield, Hilliard, Rounds, and Thompson. So different guys can carry the ball, and obviously Glenn Coulee at the quarterback. So, they're going to try and mix things up and hit different gaps and bring guys in motion, and you'll see a lot of that in the running game. And there's not really one guy you can key on in that attack when they're running the ball. And now that they've shown a little bit of ability to pass the ball, it has opened up their offense a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see, especially, as you mentioned, with UCF being stout against the run.
The Green Wave is surprised on defense, too. What's the side of the ball doing well so far?
They really clog up the line really well, and they're starting to take the ball away a lot. And that's really been the story. I mean, again, I refer to that ULL game. I mean, they forced 3 turnovers where they gave their offense the ball inside the 15-yard line. So they're aggressive. Even going into the year, we knew the defense was going to carry them if they were going to have any success. And I'll give you 3 guys to kind of keep an eye on. One guy you won't be able to miss. It's big number 77, Tanzel Smart. He's in the middle of the defense. He's listed at 6'1", 304. I think they're fudging that way down because he is a massive human being. But he's not just a space eater on that line. He doesn't just clog up guys and occupy guys. He really gets a push up the middle. So UCF's going to have to probably double him because he's already got a couple or 3 sacks actually and 25 tackles, but he really pushes into the backfield. And then at linebacker, a guy I mentioned to you guys a year ago, Nico Marley, Bob Marley's nephew, I believe. He's a force. He's got 38 tackles. He's got an interception. He ranges all over the field. And then defensive back Perry Nickerson, number 17. He's got a couple of interceptions this season. So the defense really has done a good job for Tulane. And if they're going to stay in it with UCF, and obviously with UCF looking for a little revenge after the embarrassing game last year, it'll be because of Tulane's defense getting it done on the road.
Interesting listening to you talk about the Green Wave and comparing them to UCF. Both coaches have inherited players, right? First-year head coaches. Go full circle here. Talk a little bit about Willie Fritz. Had a lot of success at Georgia Southern. He must seem like a breath of fresh air to the Green Wave program, that had posted back-to-back 3-9 seasons.
This is a program that had, glory days in the early 2000s under Chris Selfo. They went undefeated one of the years, and then obviously Katrina hit. And they haven't had the right coach. They thought when they brought in Bob Toledo, name guy from UCLA, but he never really turned it around. Then they brought in Curtis Johnson, the local guy. Really did a good job in keeping local kids, but it was his first head coaching job, and I think he wasn't maybe prepared for that. But on the flip side, he did get them to a bowl game 3 years ago when they went 7-6 in 2013. But yeah, Willie Fritz brings in this winning mentality. I mean, he did it at Central Missouri. He did it for years at Sam Houston, and then he did it most recently at Georgia Southern. In fact, he's got 193 career victories, and that puts him fourth among active coaches in the FBS. So this is a guy who knows how to win, and suddenly Tulane is starting to believe a little bit. And I don't think anybody would have predicted that they would have a chance of going 6-6 even and getting to a bowl game, but they're on that track right now. And even the UMass game last week, I mean, we were all flabbergasted that Tulane was a road favorite. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. So there's definitely reason for excitement with what Willie Fritz has done so far in uptown New Orleans.
Yeah, early line on this game ranging between 10.5 to 11.5 with UCF being a favorite. And there'd be a wild card in this is that Hurricane Matthew is brewing out there in the Atlantic, and we're not quite sure what impact that may have on the Friday night home game. CST's Paul Boron joining us on Knightline. Thanks so much, Paul.
Anytime, guys. I enjoy it.
All right, UCF's next home game Friday, October 7th against Tulane, 8 o'clock at the Bright House. Don't forget, pregame concert series features Bad Manners, and this game's colors, it's a blackout. Everyone, wear black. What's going on with Big 12 expansion? Not a thing. But Frogs O' War, that's the name of the TCU blog on SB Nation, reporting the Horned Frogs are voting no on Big 12 expansion. The league meets October 17th. Perhaps it will all be over for now.
I hope so.
I know.
I'm so done with this. It's not even funny. And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. Women's soccer drops its first league game Sunday 3-1 against SMU. That followed a 4-0 shutout of Houston on Friday. UCF is 1-1 in the American, 6-5 overall.
Not a good Sunday for UCF teams. Volleyball lost its first league game, 3-1 at Cincinnati. That followed the 3-1 win over East Carolina on Friday. We beat up on the Pirates all weekend long. UCF 3-1 in the American, 13-4 overall. Kudos to Jayla Hervey, named the American Offensive Player of the Week.
Men's soccer with the shutout, 1-0 over SMU Saturday. UCF is 1-1 in the American and 2-5 overall.
Women's tennis picks up 4 victories on day 1 of the Bedford Cup in Tampa.
22nd ranked women's golf is tied for 4th after the opening round of the Cougar Classic in Charleston, South Carolina. Play continues through Thursday. Earlier in the week, UCF finished 8th at the Annika Intercollegiate in Kissimmee.
Track and field has released its 2017 schedule. First up, the Knights travel to Alabama on January 13th for the Birmingham team meet.
Rowing also out with its 2016-17 schedule. First up, the Princeton Chase on October 30th on Lake Carnegie in New Jersey.
Men's golf, 3rd at the Jackrabbit Invitational in Nebraska. I love the name of that.
The Jackrabbit Invitational. Congrats to cross country's Anne-Marie Blaney, the Americans' runner of the week.
Women's basketball, it's almost time. Gets its season going. Held its first practice session Sunday.
All right. It's called Anytime Tickets, and it's coming for the 2016-17 men's basketball season. I need a breath after that. Fans who purchase the package will receive 16 ticket vouchers to use for any of the night's 16 home games at the CFE Arena.
They can use them at any combination,
16
apparently. You could
vouchers
take 15 of your closest friends to one game.
Oh, I see.
Gives people flexibility.
I see now. I was like 16 vouchers for 16 games. You could
It's
use
really
one
hard
per...
with season tickets to make every single game. So this gives you some flexibility. You miss a game, you can bring some friends to another game.
All right. Well, I guess what else do we have to talk about?
That's it. Go on to the website, enter in for that paddleboard thing. Eco Tour?
Absolutely. You need to definitely do that. UCFNightlinePodcast.com and sign up for that. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold. Victory is our cry.